What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Nicholas Moreano Show. I'm your host, Nicholas Moreano. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment on this YouTube channel, this video, and all the previous videos that I've made. Look, free agency technically hasn't officially started, but it feels like this is the real deal with the legal tampering period going on, and a bunch of things are happening, and the Bears are making moves. Not official yet, but Drew Dalman, the top center in the market, is heading to Chicago on a 3-year, $42 million deal with $28 million in guaranteed cash. That makes him the second highest paid center in the league. And look, this is the thing in free agency. You're going to overpay. It's going to happen regardless of position. And that's what the Bears had to pay to get the upgrade they absolutely needed at the center spot. So this is a move that I think a lot of people were expecting. We're kind of just waiting for this to happen at this point, in the calendar year. And this is finally what happened. Ryan Poles has completely revamped the interior of the offensive line and has done so in less than really a week here. And now he has his starting center in Drew Dalman. And there's a lot of reasons why this move makes sense. And, I'll definitely get into them. But Dalman, I think with you're getting him and pairing him up with a second-year quarterback in Caleb Williams. I've always been a believer in that philosophy when, especially with a young quarterback, to get somebody that has been in the league, knows what they're doing, and knows how to operate an offense. And I think what Ben Johnson showed last year too, and I do have some of the stats here to kind of show exactly what Ben Johnson was doing in 2024. According to PFF, they utilized zone run schemes just over 65% of the time. That's exactly what Drew Dalman excels at, you guys. So when you're thinking about, well, how is he going to transition from Atlanta's zone-heavy offense to what Ben Johnson runs? Of course, they're going to run some gap schemes as well. And in 2023 and 2022, you saw Ben Johnson utilize that a little bit more, the gap run schemes. But last season, it was more utilized with the zone run scheme. So if that's what Ben Johnson's thinking of, and I can give you some reasons why I think that might be the case for this Bears team, that's going to be a good fit for Drew Dalman. And just to kind of relay some of the stats he has in 2024, you're looking at PFF grades. I know these can be very skewed, and I think there's a lot of things that you need to also look into as well, other than the grades. But graded out offensively, his overall offense grade 78.8, run blocking grade 79.8, and then the pass blocking grade 66.6. Gave up 2 sacks, 1 quarterback hit, 7 hurries, 10 pass, QB pressures, a 97.8 efficiency, and penalties had 3 of those. So Drew Dalman, I think, had a really good, limited 2024 season because he was injured, was only played, 9 games, week 1, 2, 3, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 9 games in his 2024 season. So you didn't get to see the full experience of Drew Dalman, but just watching some of his games and watching some of the things he was able to do against tougher level competition, whether it was Philadelphia in week 2 and then Kansas City in week 3. Like, those are 2 games where I thought Drew Dalman excelled. Didn't give up a sack in either one of those games and only gave up 2 total hurries in both those games combined. And that's against, obviously, defensive lines and the Philadelphia Eagles, having all those guys. You have Chris Jones in the middle of that defensive line for the Chiefs. And, Drew Dalman, what you're going to see out of him and what should translate really well is the ability to use his speed to get in position to make blocks. And then that allows his ball carrier, whoever it is back there, whether it's DeAndre Swift, the Bears go draft a running back to make decisive decisions, one cut and go type of thing. So I really like Drew Dalman in that aspect. He's really good at helping out his his fellow offensive lineman, left guard now Joe Thuney, and what should be the right guard in Jonah Jackson. Like, this is a good pairing, you guys. And here's some things I'm kind of thinking about, though, as we're here discussing the Drew Dalman news. It should be an exciting time for Bears fans, because what was a clear weakness in 2024 with that Bears offensive line is now arguably a strength of the Bears team because of what you did on the interior. And we still don't know at this point in time if Braxton Jones will be that starting left tackle in 2025. And, if the Bears made that decision to go with him, I'm fine with it. if they chose to draft somebody with that 10th overall pick, or maybe they move back, we don't know at this time. I'm also fine with that as well. If you want to get the offensive line that you think is going to give your team the best position to not only be successful this upcoming season, but for the longevity, like, you make that move. And Joe Thuney's not going to be here forever. Like, that's a given. Jonah Jackson's still a young ascending player, 28 years old. He still has some time. And then Drew Dalman as well. He's only looking at his age. He is 26. There's some youth on this O-line, and there could be more if the Bears obviously draft somebody at 10. But some things I'm curious about, you guys, and I'm going to make sure to go find my right document here. Like, when you think of the Lions offensive line last season, all right, and I think everything we're going to make comparisons to is that Lions team, what they had and what the Bears currently have. And the Bears are upgrading this O-line. They definitely are. I just look at, the size, I think, is something it's something intriguing to me, because the Lions, they did have a big offensive line. I don't think it wasn't the biggest, because I think that was Philadelphia in terms of weight and size overall. But I'm going to give you here, I think what would be the easiest way is kind of go position by position, weights, heights, and maybe the round that they were drafted, and then compare it to what the Bears currently have. So at left tackle for the Detroit Lions, you had Taylor Decker. I mean, a veteran, 9 years of experience, all with Detroit, a former first-round pick, number 16 overall out of Ohio State. Taylor Decker, 6'7", 318 pounds. Okay. Now, we're just going to say it's Braxton Jones for now. 6'5", 310, round 5, pick 168. So, size-wise, there's not too much of a difference in weight. 8 pounds heavier for Decker, and then, 2 inches taller in Decker. So you have a bigger left tackle than Braxton Jones. Okay, that's 1-for-1 going to Detroit. Graham Glasgow, 6'6", 315 pounds, round 3, pick 95 out of Michigan. 9 years of NFL experience, 6 with Detroit, 3 with Denver, and actually had 2 different stints with Detroit. Started Detroit, went to Denver, came back to Detroit. All right, 6'6", 315 for Graham Glasgow. Joe Thuney, 6'5", 304. And obviously, Joe Thuney, despite being a former third-round pick, pick number 78, is having a Hall of Fame trajectory career. So, but he is, just looking at the weight, 6'6", 315 for Graham Glasgow, and then you have 6'5", 304 for Joe Thuney. So you have Glasgow being a little bit taller, a little bit heavier. Center, Drew Dalman, 6'3", 305, former fourth-round pick, pick 115, compared to Frank Ragnow, 6'5", 310 pounds. So, again, the height and weight go to the Detroit Lions players. Jonah Jackson. Actually, let's go. Sorry, we'll go start off with the Detroit guys. Kevin Zeitler. He played the 13 years of NFL experience, former first-round draft pick number 27. He had the 1 year in Detroit, but that's where I'm comparing him to last year. 6'4", 340 pounds. That's a big right guard. Jonah Jackson, 6'4", 315 pounds. Former third-round pick number 75 for Jonah Jackson. And then you have your right tackles. And I think, looking at this, okay, Penei Sewell. Former first-round pick, number 7 overall, 4 years of NFL experience, obviously all with Detroit, 6'5", 335. Darnell Wright, former first-round pick number 10, 6'5", 335. That's the one position the Bears have in terms of height and weight that are exactly the same. That right tackle spot. It's an important position, obviously. And Ben Johnson talked about, Darnell Wright and, what he sees out of him, maybe being similar to – he talked about Darnell Wright at the NFL Combine. So he was excited about him, which is great. Now, why did I bring all this up? What the hell did I bring all these height and weights for? Well, I think you have to realize, if you're Ben Johnson, what you have here. It's a smaller offensive line than what you had in Detroit. Now, that obviously can also create more or different opportunities in terms of pulling and getting guys out in space and speed and things like that. But, I think what Ben Johnson was leaning towards in last season with that zone run scheme, I think that's gonna play well to not only what you have at the center spot with Drew Dalman, but what you kind of have overall from this Bears offensive line as it currently stands. So, like what you saw and also the little devil advocates here, what you saw Ben Johnson doing in Detroit schematically with the run offense, I don't know, like it's not going to be apples to apples situation. He said that this offense was going to be taken down to the studs in his introductory press conference, but you just got to look at the line. The Bears offensive line is no doubt improved. It looks so much better now going into the 2025 season than it did going into the 2024 season. That's not even debatable. But now it comes to question, like, how do you best utilize the guys that you have here, given their physical makeups, what they do well or what they've shown on film, into this new version of Ben Johnson's offense? And I'm going to be curious to see that. So that's why it's so important to have a established and respected O-line coach in Dan Rochar to see how he's going to see this line as it currently stands, what they do well, what they don't do well, and get the most out of them. We're going to take a quick time out because I have to tell everybody about Windy City Sports Cards. Look, they specialize in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports. Whether you are a diehard fan of the Bulls, Bears, Cubs, White Sox, or Blackhawks, they've got you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. In addition to their Chicago-focused items, they also offer a vast collection of sports trading cards and memorabilia from your favorite teams and players. Visit their online store to find exactly what you're looking for to complete your collection or discover a new favorite. So make sure to check them out at 312windycitysports.com. But I just wanted to bring that up because it is different how Detroit, what they had versus now Chicago's new revamped offensive line, and still could be, altered if you want to make that decision with the 10th overall pick. But I wanted to bring that up just to kind of put it into your perspective. And also when you look at just the draft picks, and not all of them, like Detroit obviously didn't bring in Kevin Zeitler, but he's a former first round pick. You have four first round draft picks on that O-line, and then Graham Glasgow is the only third rounder. As opposed to the Chicago Bears O-line, you have one in Darnell Wright. So there's a difference in talent level, and draft status doesn't mean anything. I'm just pointing it out there because Joe Thuney is a good example of that. Wasn't a first rounder. He's going to most likely land in the Hall of Fame at some point. But just again, addressing that as it is. And I just think that still it's so much better where they're at now as opposed to where they were not too long ago. I really like the Drew Dalman signing. I know there's been like some speculation on like, oh, he didn't have the best pass blocking grade. And actually, I believe I do. I already talked about that, but comparing him to Coleman Shelton, look, guys, Coleman Shelton, and depends on where you look, was an undersized, like really undersized center. And look, Drew Dalman's smaller than Frank Ragnow, the Lions center, but Coleman Shelton is definitely a lot smaller than both those guys. Well, not a lot smaller than Drew Dalman, but Coleman Shelton is listed at 6'5", 285. That's probably where it's more accurate. I think PFF had him a little bit bigger than what he normally is. And I can just tell you, like being in the locker room, being next to a Coleman Shelton, he's definitely not the most physically imposing guy. I can tell you that. But like seeing his height and weight on ESPN, 6'5", 285, that makes sense. Let me really quickly, I want to just see what he is on PFF, because I know I definitely put out his weight from here, and that was an accurate description. 6'4", 299. So they made him an inch shorter on PFF, but made him, heavier. 14 pounds heavier? Like, see, that can definitely skew some things, but I think the 6'5", 285 for Coleman Shelton's accurate. So bottom line, this is definitely an upgrade. I can tell you that for a fact, that Drew Dalman is going to play better. And just watching his film, I can tell you that he is going to do some good things for the Bears offensive line and how he operates, man. That is going to be something that I think you're going to see when they're running these zone concepts, when you're seeing Drew Dalman have to get to the second level and just make effective blocks. It doesn't always have to be pretty. That's the thing. Like that's going to be a lot of the time for some of these offensive linemen, but like he's shown that he can do it. And I really liked his play against tougher level competition, especially last season. So, I mean, if you're a Bears fan, if you're thinking about 2025, you now have an offensive line, a group, a unit that you should feel good about. You should feel good about. This should allow Ben Johnson to run his offense the way he sees fit. This should just give Caleb Williams a chance to play from the pocket, man. Like, there were a lot of times where he had to bounce early. He felt like he needed to bounce when, it was the interior of the pocket was being dented in. So this is going to give, I think, a true indication of what Caleb Williams can do. And I think that, he wants to do those things. He wants to play more from the pocket, but he can create. So you don't want to eliminate that part of it. And Ben Johnson's kind of highlighted a couple of times now about the creativity that Caleb Williams has. And that's going to be a new element that he hasn't really had with Jared Goff. And Jared Goff operated, he excelled from the pocket, which is, where a lot of games are won and lost. So there's obviously perks to having a guy like Caleb Williams because he could do more outside of structure, but you need to see what he's like in structure. The Bears trading for Joe Thuney. The Bears trading for Jonah Jackson. The Bears, signing, which will officially be done on Wednesday when free agency officially starts at 4 p.m. Eastern time, signing Drew Dalman. That's going to allow Caleb Williams to finally see what he can do. So this was the move that needed to be made. And now you feel so much better about, whatever happens after this, because yes, the Bears need another pass rusher. They can use another running back. And I think they'll address that in the draft, but this is something that needed to get done. Ryan Poles got it done. And man, if you look at this offensive line, it's there, it still needs to come together. There's a lot of things like chemistry. How long does that take for this unit to actually mesh? But at least you have the players. The Bears just didn't have the players, even if they had the time to get acquainted with each other. They just didn't have the talent. Now the talent just needs to match up with the chemistry, which it should come with, hopefully not too much time. And hopefully it doesn't take too much time during the regular season, but that's why you have all this offseason stuff that you can do in training camp and things like of that nature. But yeah, this is a move that I really like. And we're just going to have to wait and see when, all these guys suit up, get out there, and, everyone's working together and seeing what they can do for Ben Johnson as he enters year one of the head coach of the Bears. And I think also very important, year two of Caleb Williams' career. Like this is going to allow him to be the best version of himself and play hopefully even better. Limit, you got to take, man, I was looking at some of the stats actually, and I think I may have this up here. In terms of, let's see, maybe I don't have it here anymore, but just in terms of sacks. Oh, here we go. Jared Goff, let's see. Oh, maybe I don't have it. Maybe I'm lying here, but yeah, Jared Goff has flirted around get sacked 30 something times in the last 3 years with the Detroit Lions. Like he's hovered around that number. Not again, I don't have the exact numbers here, but it's around there. And Caleb Williams was sacked 68 times. So that number just needs to drastically come down. And that's going to be on Caleb Williams playing a little bit more quickly in terms of just getting the ball out when options are open and not. And the thing is, I think the big thing for him, when he gets a better understanding, even more detailed understanding of some of these defenses, he's going to know what types of routes are not available given the defense. So when that starts to click for Caleb, instead of waiting for a route to come open that just isn't based off the coverage, you go to that second option, that third option, and you gain those small 4 or 5 yards, whatever it is, just to kind of keep the drive moving. And that's going to eliminate some sacks as well. But Drew Dalman's going to help a lot with that, help with the protections, help with his guys left and right of him, help the running backs in the backfield, help out Ben Johnson, man. Give him somebody that I think he can rely on. Different player from Frank Ragnow, like I said, but still a good player in his own right. But guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this quick show. Like, honestly, I'm kind of refreshing Twitter here, and oh wow, I finally tweeted something and it finally went through the Moreano minute that I had. But if you guys didn't know, like, Twitter's been down. It's been a really frustrating day if you're trying to just stay with the cycle of news. But looks like things are operating. Maybe you don't care about that, but we're gonna wrap this one up before hopefully maybe another move gets made here. Maybe another pass rusher. Who knows? But appreciate you guys tuning in, checking out this channel. The intro, the logo, it's going to be unveiled here soon. Have a guy working on some of the things for it, so stay tuned for that, and I'll definitely make sure to hype that up as we keep going here, as I keep putting out content. But make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share this channel with somebody else. Like, here, I'm going to go look at how many subscribers I currently have. We should set like a goal here. I'm a big goal setter. 6,564. I mean, I'll tell you this, from where it started to where it's at now, it's definitely, I mean, it's been zooming, just escalating and, getting bigger and bigger each and every single day. So I appreciate all of you for that. But I want to see like a 10K here, I mean, it would be great, sooner the better, but let's keep it rolling here. Let's talk Bears football. And then once I start getting the logo and intro and everything there, then we'll start going live and can interact with everybody. And that's going to be a fun time because I love hearing what you guys have to say and just getting your feedback on everything. But appreciate everyone for coming in here, watching this video, liking, subscribing, and commenting. It means the world to me. But until next time, Bears fans, adios.